Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Athletic School podcast. Today, I have two guest speakers who played a big part in soccer here in Cincinnati and beyond. So, first, Corben Bone. He was an important part of FC Cincinnati in the early years and also spent time with Louisville City, building a strong career as a professional. Uh, and with him today is Omar Cummings, originally from Jamaica. He made his name at University of Cincinnati before going to play professional, including time in the Major League Soccer and also representing his country internationally. Thanks you two for finding the time to join me. Um, and we want to talk about your career and everything, but also the transition that you guys have, from playing soccer and then now working for a professional soccer team. So thanks for joining me.
All right, no worries. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, happy to be here.
All right, so my first question, it's kind of like let's go back then, and Omar, you're from Jamaica, so for you might be a little bit different, but Corben, especially for you, uh, growing up in a country where soccer wasn't as big as it is today, and it's still not as big. What made you fall in love with soccer? Why soccer? And how did that shape you, who you are today?
Yeah, I fell in love probably later on in my youth career because as a youth player, I started playing when I was like 4 or 5, but I also played basketball and baseball and like all these other sports. I think my parents just kind of threw me in because it was what the kids at school were doing. They had no idea what soccer was. They didn't play. Their background, they had zero experience on what it was. They probably were learning the rules as I was learning them as a 5-year-old. So I kind of later on I started to get better and better at it, and realized, once I was probably, I think, 12, 13, I got on a team that took it really serious, as a youth club with traveling and a lot of sacrifices and commitments. But along the way, I think really what I fell in love with was my teammates. I think always we had a great team. I had a great group of friends with me that were either in school with me, but also out of school. So I grew up in Plano, Texas. So they were kind of all over the Metroplex. And I really enjoyed being with them on the field, looking forward to the practices and games. We were also really successful. So that helped. Winning always helps. But I think, that group of people that I was with, they are still to this day some of my best memories in my life. Just being around all my friends, the weekends, and not just on the field either. It's like the after the game stuff where you go and celebrate at a restaurant with after you won, those kind of things. Those experiences and memories, I really is what kind of pushed me on and made me fall in love with being a part of a team. The game in general was so fun. I think the role that I got to play as a youth player, I played kind of the number 8, so um, I was always kind of on the ball and in the mix, and I love that. Just the thing about baseball, like I played baseball, didn't really love it because it just wasn't as active as I wanted it to do, and so I needed action. I needed to be moving, and soccer provided that. And so I think it was a combination of, I started to get pretty good at it. The friends that I was with, the teams that I was on, made me really, really love it. And then I could see kind of a path that I wanted to take that developed throughout my youth career and really made me fall in love with what soccer is.
Hmm. Awesome. And Omar, for you, it was a little bit different. You grew up in Jamaica, then you came to the US to go to UC. So tell us a little bit, like, I mean, I'm guessing for you it's kind of like for me, like we only play soccer, so that's the only option. This episode is sponsored by CaliforniaAvocadosDirect.com, delivering rich, creamy, hand-picked avocados straight from a family farm in Escondido, California, to your door. No middleman, no mass storage, just farm fresh quality you can taste and trust. Packed with healthy fats, potassium, and fiber, it's the kind of real fuel high performance need, whether you're grinding on the field or recovery from it. Use the code The Athletic School for 10% off of your first box at CaliforniaAvocadosDirect.com.
Pretty much like Corbin, I think cricket also is a big part of Jamaica. But growing up, we watch any sport and any sport that we saw on TV, we'll try to make it happen. Whether it was tennis or golf or whatever, we'll dig holes in the ground and pretend we're playing golf. So, but soccer was always that first love, that just never wavered one way or the other. While I played other sports and with my friends and teammates and all that, and even when I played cricket, which I was pretty good at, I'm gonna stick to soccer because that's my first love. That's what I'm passionate about, and that's what I'm gonna run with. So I have two older brothers, and they were very good players themselves. Just grew up in a community. I was the closest house to the soccer field that was in my community. So playing all the time. The balls were kept at my house, teams, and we just played all the time with my cousins right next door. When we'll leave from school, we had lunchtime at school. That was like an hour. We played for 50 minutes. We come home, we do what we needed to do at home, and then we're out on the soccer field playing in the yard, in my cousin's yard right next door to me. Played for an hour and a half. By the time like the older folks and my brothers and people that came home from work, we go across the field. We play for another like hour or plus before even the older guys get there. The older guys are watching us like, hey, all right, I see this one. He's looking good. I'm going to make him on my team. you know, so it was like skins and shirts. Even to today, if I go home, I have to play on shirts team. I have to. There is no, you don't go back and forth, you know? So you're either skins or your shirts. And the older guys are there watching, because there are two soccer balls at the field. One for the younger kids, one for the older guys, and they're basically watching you, recruiting you. Like, all right, I see you. All right, you're going to be on my team. You're going to be on shirts. You're not playing for skins, depending on what they need. So that build a certain rivalry. And when you went on the field as a younger player, you actually stayed in goal, at a little scrimmage goal, little thing. You're in goal. And your job is to protect the goal, and their job is to protect you. So the only way you get a run out on the field growing up is if an older guy got tired and be like, all right, kid, give me a break. Go take go take a break. And you go out and you're probably playing like a left or right mid, or not mid, center back, like a fullback, and it's a scrimmage field, but that's your position, because if they pass the ball to you, you're basically a wall. You pass it right back. If you try to do anything fancy, you're going straight back in the goal. So, but if you happen to do something good, like make a good pass, or maybe someone came to tackle you, you made a move and made a good pass or something like that. All right, kid, you got some skill, and maybe you got to play a little bit. Maybe you got more balls. Maybe you got to move up the field, depending on your skill level. So, it was always kind of a growing pains, like, you have to earn your right to play with us, and yeah, you have to earn the right to play with the older guys, especially as a younger player. And I started playing with the older guys when I was 12 or younger, and having my cousins and brothers even on the other team. I remember tackling my brother once, and I swear to you, man, this guy poked me in the eye, like looked at me and poked me in the eye, and I'm like, what the hell, man? He just poked me in the eye, like I'm protecting my ball, protecting my ball, that's all he said to me. I was like, all right, you learn fast, and even growing up in the community, like these guys will tell you, man, you get good or you get hurt, So if you're not getting good and being on the ball, you're gonna get tackled, you're gonna get hurt, So you learn how to protect yourself, learn how to move fast as a smaller player, and you have to be creative, you have to be smart.
Fasting forward a little bit, you both play here in the US in a time that soccer was still growing. So I'm sure you guys went through some tough times. You guys weren't getting paid as much as the MLS players are getting paid nowadays. So was there a moment that you guys thought about giving up? And if so, what made you guys not give up?
I almost gave up before I came to the States, because playing in a club team in high school, and I felt like, then, teams come around, you get picked or selected for a team, and I wasn't selected, and my cousin was actually selected. That's my neighbor, played together growing up, and that really bummed me out. And I was like, maybe soccer is not for me, because I seen my two, as I said, while soccer is still developing in Jamaica, you don't get a lot of money playing in Jamaica with soccer. So you have to make a choice early. I saw my older brother where he had to work, pretty good player, but he had to go work because soccer couldn't provide enough. My next brother got hurt, his back, and they basically just pushed him on the wayside, and I'm like, yeah, do I want to continue? Do I want to keep pursuing this? Because there's not a lot of money in it, especially if you stay in Jamaica. So when I didn't get picked for that team, I'm like, all right, there's a choice to make. I'm gonna pursue education and try to get a job and get hired and get a job, or yeah, I'm gonna stick with soccer. And for a year, I actually didn't play soccer. I was like 16 or so, and I didn't play soccer. And my uncle is a club. He's one of the managers of the club team, local club team that we have. And he's like, yeah, listen, we're struggling. We'd like to have your help. You can help us out. I'm like, all right, I'll play. And I played like one game, and my brother found out about it, and he pulled me aside and like, listen, if you don't like the game anymore, if you don't love the game anymore, I get it, but if you're gonna play, you're not gonna play at this level, right? I'd rather break your two legs than have you play at this level. So he brought me to a coach that he knew, and I started playing for that club team. And within a year or so, I was getting a college scholarship to come to the U.S. So my brother believed in me more than I believed in myself, and yeah, I just say the rest is history. But in the professional side, just before I went into the draft, just before I went in my first year, I did a surgery on my knee, my meniscus, and when I got there, like I wasn't sure of anything because I was hurt, and I just found out like when you get drafted, you're not like on the team, man. You're on an extended trial. Is what you're on, you know. So I was like, holy crap, I'm hurt. I'm here, and I'm seeing people get cut already. I'm like, what is happening, And like this is an extended trial. I have to like get back, and I was hurt for about 2 weeks while guys were in preseason practicing. And when I came on, man, like when I finally got to play, I felt like the slowest thing in the world. I felt like a snail. These guys were just zipping past me. I was in Denver, Colorado. I was puffing and puffing, the altitude. I really doubted myself, but I pushed through, keep on pushing. And as I see guys getting selected and getting picked up from my rookie year, guys were getting signed, and I was like, it's not happening for me. It's not happening, So, and I knew I didn't have the finances to probably go try out on another team or something if I didn't make it. If I didn't make this one, I'm an international student. That's probably it. So we went to Mexico, and finally on the last, I was the last guy to get picked. And they had a couple of older guys from Mexico playing, and I would say by then, my fitness got a little bit better, and I was outpacing them, outrunning them, making contributions on the field. So, luckily I got picked, and yeah, as I say, the rest is history.
Awesome. What about you, Corben?
Yeah, mine came in kind of two phases as well. It was a little bit later on in my career. Honestly, right when I got into the professional ranks was when I kind of faced my first adversity, I'd say, because as a youth player, I was lucky enough to be on really great teams. We won a ton. We ended up going. We would win regionals. We would go to nationals, and we won so much. And we had such a great group that I went to college. I went to college at Wake Forest. My freshman year, we won the national championship. So like so many highs as a youth player, just honestly by my teammates, the luck of the draw, good coaches, all those things, they kind of just aligned and helped me through a lot of successful seasons as a youth player. And then, so I got lucky enough to sign a Generation Adidas contract, which was mean I could leave college early and enter the draft. So I did that after my junior fall, entered the draft, which was 2010. Got drafted by the Chicago Fire. And so at that point, I had reached kind of my goal. That was my goal to become a professional soccer player. All the sacrifices and hard work, all the successes up to that point, I achieved what I set out to do. What I didn't realize was that that didn't really mean anything because once you get there, it's not like you made it. That's just the very beginning. And so I was on such a high, like, oh my gosh, I did it. I have this. I think, and it was a luxury, but I think it was also kind of a negative in that those Generation Adidas contracts, you sign a 3-year deal. So you get 3 years guaranteed. So your mindset, it kind of messes with your mindset in a sense, because I went in and I was like, this is going to be great. I'm coming in, I'm going to play. I'm in a fun city, Chicago, that kind of thing. It did not work out that way. So I got drafted, similar to Omar. Like we get into preseason. They had just fired their coach. They were a successful team. They went to the Eastern Conference Final before that. They had just fired their coach, brought in a new coach from El Salvador. Didn't speak English, had a translator. So it was a lot of new things for me. I hadn't experienced really a lot of things like that yet. Going into an environment like Omar said, where these guys are fighting for jobs. They're trying to feed their family. And I'm a 20-year-old kid thinking this is just going to be a fun, let's go kick around, man. We'll play some footy. This is going to be great. It was not the case, So I got there and the environment was completely different. I went to preseason and I was a bit shell shocked, honestly, because all of a sudden I wasn't the best player on the field. I had to fight for everything, I had to earn everything, and it didn't come easy. I got hurt kind of 2, 3 weeks in, which put me back in Chicago in February when it was like -10. And I didn't have a car. The whole team was in Arizona. I was literally busing with the Metro to do rehab and stuff. And so at that moment, I had really had to like reality check myself, and I thought about, was this it? Is this what I sacrificed everything for? Did I already peak as a as a soccer player, and am I done after this? Like, am I ever going to get to the position what I thought I was going to get to? And so, luckily enough, I had a lot of good people there as well that kind of helped me with my mindset and things. But it wasn't easy. I mean, I was in Chicago for 4 years. I think I made maybe 35 appearances, um, which is not a ton. And so, going in thinking that you're going to you're going to contribute right away and you're going to be a starter and you're going to be the main man. And that's not how it worked. And so that was the first time in my life that I'd really experienced that kind of adversity on the soccer field, and was not equipped mentally to kind of handle what was happening. So it started to mess with, how I treated the game on the field, but also how I treated the game off the field. Wasn't really taking care of myself in the proper way. And so it created a lot of negative thoughts in my head. So that was kind of the first one where I was like, is this really what I do? And I started journaling because I started reading and thinking, okay, journaling is a way to kind of get your thoughts on paper and think about what's happening in your life. And I remember I still have the journal of writing, like, should I just walk away now? If I just took a flight and flew back to Texas and got a job, would I be happier? Like those kinds of thoughts. Um, but honestly, I had nothing else to do. I had left college early. I was still in school, so I didn't have a college degree. I had no way of making money. I was 20 years old. I had played this game my whole life. It's the only thing that I knew. All of my friends were in soccer. Everyone knew, I was the soccer player. That was my identity. So it was a struggle, constant struggle every day. Eventually, I got through those 4 years. There were some ups and downs. I think it was tough because I was told kind of next year's going to be your year, which I'm sure we've all heard that. Like next year's going to be the one. Like you're gonna break through next year. Next year would come. I would be on the bench every game. Would maybe enter 4 or 5 games in a row, and then I would be off on the sidelines again. So lots of ups and downs. And then after that, I got another opportunity. I did what they call, I went into the reentry draft, where you get waived by a team. You kind of go into this, it's a pseudo MLS draft where teams around the league can draft you on waivers. I got drafted by Philadelphia Union, went there. Um, this is kind of it was sad in the moment, but a hilarious part of the story is 7 games in, I was doing really well. And then got into a game, subbed on, ended up getting a red card, I think, in like 65 seconds. I think it's the second fastest red card in MLS history, and didn't play a game for the Philadelphia Union after that. Coach got fired. It was a whole thing. So ended up going on loan after that to a place called Wilmington Hammerheads, which is in the USL. And honestly, it's a small little beach town in North Carolina. Amazing place. But really, I went there to retire. I was like, you know what? I think I had a good run. Like I got to where I wanted to go. It didn't work out for me. I'm gonna go enjoy my time on the beach. I'll play some soccer, find work, and then that'll kind of be it. Um, and then enough, I got a call from an ex-coach at Wake Forest who they were starting this thing in Cincinnati. And I was like, well, it could be fun. His name was Ryan Martin, great guy. He kind of convinced me to come on to this new thing. And it was a huge resurgence and like a resurrection in a sense of like my soccer career and my life in general. Um, it's those ups and downs are really difficult. I think, like Omar said, the believing in yourself part is kind of it's what gets you through to moment, but it's really hard to do in those negative moments when you don't see it going your way and you need others to help you. But that's the one thing that I preach now to young players is like, because there's so many ways to get into a league or a team that you want to now, but it may not work out for you. But that belief in yourself and that perseverance, um like it is what it is. Like it gets you there. I heard a quote. I was listening to this guy, this he's not in sports, but this guy Seth Rogen, who's in entertainment and does all these things, and he's telling a story about asking about who made it and who didn't. He said the only difference really about who made it and who didn't is the people who didn't quit, because if you quit, you're not going to make it. You're not going to make it. And if you don't quit, you have a small chance of making it.
Mhm.
But at least you tried. And so I'm happy that I didn't quit, because it got me to the point where I am now at Cincinnati, and all these amazing experiences and people that I met along the way. It was a journey, but it's definitely not easy, and there's lots of adversity along the way for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of ups and downs. And I think that you guys mentioned believe in yourself, but we can all agree that it's hard and sometimes we need other people with us. Um, but what's the most important lesson that soccer taught you that goes beyond the field? Something that you still carry with you guys nowadays.
Yeah. I'll choose one, and because I kind of just spoke on it. No, I'll speak just for a second. Then you like, for me, it's definitely mentality and the mental side of everything, not just soccer, but in life is so crucial for me, and learning how to navigate emotions, feelings, moments. I think that's been a huge thing for me, and so the mentality, and then along with that is, I think that's connected to perseverance, is being able to identify moments that you can persevere through, go through adversity, and the most important thing in that is learning from your mistakes or learning from the moment, and taking what you have along, because that's really what gives you guidance in what's coming next, on how to make a decision next, on where you want to go, how you want to interact with people, what you want to be known for, that kind of thing. Don't shy away from the mental side of that. And I didn't train that as a youth person. I didn't train that as a young adult. And I'm still doing it now, but after reading and listening to podcasts and all these things, the mental side of life in general, I think is what I took from continuing to work on it. And you're never going to arrive at a mental state that you're just in cloud nine. There's always going to be challenges. And so being able to navigate those challenges mentally and learn from them is what I uh, continue to take on.
Awesome,
Yeah.
I love that. Omar, what's the main two lessons you learned?
So again, along the lines of Corben, the mental side is I've discovered, is pretty key in your achievement, in your battles, in your ups and downs. And so I think consistency, focus and consistency are the two that I take away a lot when I look at soccer, because every player is gonna have their bad moments. You're gonna have your bad moments. You're gonna have your bad game. You're gonna have your bad week. You're gonna have your bad month, maybe a bad year. You know, and and how can you consistently do the right things? Do the simple things well. Just the simple takeaways. That bad player, the worst player, is gonna score an amazing goal, like one that you're like, upper 90. Like would never happen. The best player in the world is gonna miss a penalty. We're not gonna be this easy sitter. Just like, how did you miss that one? You know, but how can you consistently be good? You know, and how you consistently play, and regardless of your ups and downs, your consistency, your play, your mindset, consistently there, consistently be what a word I'm looking for. I'd say where people can depend on you, can be dependable. You know that this guy is gonna give me a solid game, a solid everything. I know him, and he's gonna be solid through and through. I think that consistency is something that we need to all strive to.
The transition to playing soccer to go work in the corporate world. I know you guys are in the community, so it's not like you guys are wearing suit and tie every single day to go to work. But I bet it's different. So how was moving from being a professional athlete to working, in the corporate world, in the business side of soccer, the community side? Did that change anything in your perspective when you look at things?
Yeah, I'll go first with this one. When I just started with FC, and we were building out the community relations side of FC Cincinnati, and so we were a lot smaller then. I think only 3 people at the time, and so you had a lot of different departments within the same area. This maybe marketing would be right next to me or across from me, in a cubicle, or ticketing or something like that would be on not too far down. And just to get into that environment where I'm here, I'm trying to work on what I'm working on, but I have no idea what the person across from me is working on. I have no idea what the person to my left is working on, person to my right. I have just no idea what anything else is going on around me except maybe what I'm doing and maybe what my team is doing. And even people on your team could be doing totally different things. And that really, really played with me, because in a soccer team, in a soccer environment, everyone is working for the same goal. Everyone is working for the same goal. Everyone comes to practice every day. We're in the same locker room. Everyone, you go out to the field together, you train together, and you know exactly what the goal is. And you build up to the week. If you're going to play a game, you build up to the week knowing exactly who you're going to play, how you're going to approach the game, defensively what you're going to do, offensively what you're going to do, and how our team is going to play or try to play the game. And I got into that environment, and I was like, I have no idea what's going on here. I have no idea what anyone around me is doing. It was very confusing. And again, sitting on the chairs, oh my gosh, sitting on those chairs, my back started aching. Like, you probably heard people complain about their back working in the office, and you're like, what? You're sitting in a chair all day, man. Relax. What are you talking about? We're here running around, you know. In 2 hours, bro, I promise, like my first like 2 days or 3 days, I'm like, my back, oh my gosh, my back hurts. But yeah, it was definitely a transition, and still a transition.
Yeah. What about you, Corben? I know you have to take a lot of meetings. Sometimes Omar is at schools and stuff like that, but you have to take a lot of meetings. I feel like for you being the director of soccer in the community, a lot probably has changed for you too.
Yeah, it's similar to Omar's, but yeah, it was an adjustment in environment and lifestyle. I guess the environment first with taking on the corporate side of it with like emails and like the proper language and meetings and the etiquette of it all is an adjustment, and so trying to fit in a sense while not losing kind of what made you the professional soccer player, because I think that's one great thing about our department is we're a great mix of different cultures and people and personality, and it works really well. And it's one of the things that I think has made the transition somewhat easier, is that I think for me the biggest change was the locker room lifestyle, the locker room vibe, where you go in there every day, there's a routine, you have inside jokes with guys, you have things that you do that are very unique to a locker room, and that may not live in the corporate office. But I think one of the things that our department does really well is the banter, they say, or like riffing off of each other and coming up with ideas. Having ex-college players or ex-professionals and people that are willing to be serious, but also be willing to play around with each other and be fun for it. So as keeping it loose but also serious, I think is really important. And one of the things that the locker room is really rare for is you can go in and joke around and do that kind of thing, but then you get on the field and it's really, really serious. But one thing that's about the field is that once you leave the field, you get back in the locker room, you're best friends again, which I think is really cool. And what I loved about that environment is that there's a sense of bonding that happens when you go through those moments. Or, say for instance, if Omar and I are on the pitch and we get into a massive argument, but we talk it out or whatever, I think that brings us closer together. Whether we like each other or not, we're still closer together because that moment happened. And like he said, we're trying to achieve that one goal together. So, and it's a little bit harder to decipher that in the corporate office because there's so many different departments. You're really all trying to get to the same goal, but you may not be aware, like Omar said, of what the person next to you is doing or their other department's doing. So that connection may not feel as strong. So that was kind of the biggest adjustment is trying to get to know everyone, get to know everyone's vibe, how they like to interact, those kinds of things. And then obviously, the computer stuff and the emails and the meetings and like Slack and like trying to navigate all that stuff and do all them well and be on time. Those are adjustments and things. But I think we have a great team that helps us adjust to that and will help us along the way to um, stay on time and stay up to date with how it works and things.
Mhm.
But yeah, I think what I miss most is that locker room. Your built-in 25 best friends that are all trying to achieve that goal, and at the end of the year, hopefully you got it, and then it starts again, and you have a new group that's really fun to interact with and things. But it's a rare thing, so it's hard to replicate. But I think our department does really well.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. And you both work in the community relations, with soccer. Omar, you are almost every day at different schools around Cincinnati, working with kids. Corben, if you're not in the office, you are working with kids as well during camps. Um, what's one lesson that you hope the kids take from their life, soccer career, training, whatever level they're playing? What's one lesson you hope these kids take to help them in their life? Real quick before we get back. As a vegan and a hybrid athlete, what I eat matters. And when it comes to quality, I don't compromise. That's why I have partnered with CaliforniaAvocadosDirect.com. They deliver fresh, hand-picked avocados straight from their family farm to your door. No middleman, no guessing, just real fuel that supports how I train and recover. They even offer subscriptions so you're never running out. And my followers get an exclusive discount code which you can check on the show notes. And big thanks to California Avocados Direct for powering this episode and helping me stay fueled the right way. Now, let's get back into the show.
Yeah, good question. And I think the combination of what we've been talking about the whole time a lot, I see kids playing now and they don't understand how far they have to go, I think. And they think like if they lose a game, it's so final. Everything is so final for these kids. You lose one game, they get so disappointed by losing that one game. Losing that one challenge, or like they give up like way too easily. I feel like these days, like a sense of grit and a sense of like I'm tougher than this. I'm better than this. And there's so many other challenges that's going to come throughout your life, soccer or not, just life is going to hit you down, you know. And I think our kids, you have to learn how to get up. You have to learn how to get up and play through it, and you're going to lose games. You're going to get knocked down. You're going to get people take stuff away from you, but you have to be willing to fight and get up and bounce back as quickly as you can and keep playing the game and keep learning from it. So just keep going. Life's gonna eat you down. The game's gonna eat you down, but you have to persevere. You have to push through because this is just the beginning. At each one of our stage, we have to as Corbin said, when we got into that first professional, we felt like, yeah, I made it, only to find out, no, you haven't. This is this is just the beginning. just the beginning. And even when we came to FC Cincinnati, we probably done on our luck. And I feel FC Cincinnati was a breath of fresh air. Again, just like new life. And
Yeah.
I started before I came to FC. I was hurt for several years. I just felt like, man, I'm not playing the way I want. I'm not enjoying the game how I want to. And then I came to FC, and it was so fresh. It was so new. It was so enjoyable, and some of the best soccer time of my life. So there's so many things that's going to happen to you over the course of your career, and you have to just roll with it and be willing to get back up and keep going, because on the other side of it, there could be something amazing.
What about you, Corben?
Yeah, that's great. I agree. I think along those lines, I'll say um like cherish the smiles. So like what I mean by that is with Omar, like when you're on the field and you're in those moments, or you're in PE class with Omar, or you're at a camp or those kind of things, and things don't go their way, and you're really competitive or passionate about it, do it with a smile on your face, because they are the best moments. And it's hard to tell them that when they're in the moment, because I certainly didn't do that when I was 9, 10, 11, 12. But like they're the best. And so just I think you can see it's really rare when a kid, like if he gets into a big tackle or gets taken down, but he stands up and he has a massive smile on his face and he's like, "Oh man, that was fun." Like that stuff is infectious. So when you get kids like that, like and you start to see them do that, and it invigorates me, it energizes me to say, "God, what a game!" Like we're out here competing, it's passionate, but they're smiling. They'll remember this stuff forever. We used to have this guy on the team. Oh my, you probably remember him. His name was Roland Lama. French guy. He
Yeah,
always said, he coined this phrase. He's always said, "The smile is free. The smile is free. No matter what, bro. You come in, you can smile for free. Like, and it's infectious, man. It makes a difference. So, like, the energy that you provide, I think, a lesson that I want to teach soccer players and in general, it makes a difference, man. Like, if you can, your mind is so powerful. If you can smile and cherish even the bad moments, you'll be positive. You'll keep going, like what Omar said. You'll keep moving forward, man, and you'll get there. So I think that's one lesson, is like smile in the good, but also smile when you're losing. You're down 1-0 and you just get scored on. Man, smile and go score a goal.
Hmm.
Like, and you see it in these small sided games at the camps, and I'm sure in the classrooms and things, where they'll get so down on themselves, but man, do it with a smile, because they're the best moments. They're the best moments, in my life, and I'm sure in others as well. So the smile is free. Roll on Lama. Smile is free.
smile is free.
Yeah.
Um, I hear a lot of coaches and a lot of people nowadays in the sports industry saying that, like, oh, go out there and just have fun, right? But and then I read a book called Winning by the personal trainer of like Kobe Bryant and all these guys, and he was like, well, winning is fun. So what are you guys thoughts on having fun, on going out there and having fun? Was the mindset that you guys had back then, was it more about like, I want to win?
Omar,
Go.
you or me, man? I'll go. No, I think that's a great question, and I think it's really relevant in kind of the soccer world right now, because um, I think a lot of youth soccer in general is there's a big emphasis on winning, and which I think there's lessons to be learned there, wanting to win and competing the right way, being passionate, working towards something as a team. But I think there has to be a combination of that, because of course winning is fun. Um, but I think at what cost, maybe on the youth side, are we asking kids to only care about winning and not develop? Which is important, because if you can develop properly, you may not be winning now, but you could be winning down the road. So I think there's lessons to be learned. I think when it comes to winning, competing the right way and putting a plan together and being strategic and working as one to try and win the game, super important. I think sometimes the win at all cost, um, it takes away a certain part of the development a little bit, and maybe takes away the freedom. You know, I think even now, like people talk about Brazil, like the best players in Brazil, man, they just seem like they play free. Like they have no they obviously want to win, but they play free. They play for the love of the game, and it's some of the best players of all time have that mindset. Now, conversely, you look at maybe a side like Germany or something, where like they're so almost robotic about their plan to go win the game, the way they play the game. Something to be said about that on both sides, but I think there can be a combination, especially at the youth level, of man, let's really develop the love of this game first, because that's what happened to me. Like, can we get them to love the game? Because if you love the game that much, you're gonna want to win. Like if you love the game, you're gonna want to win the game. So I love the conversation around this right now, because I think it's super important for youth sports in general. Is how do we combine winning and development, and not lose out on either? Because I think, as an athlete, trying to win the game, or go after and achieve a goal and win that thing, it helps you in life. It keeps you competitive. It keeps you wanting to get ahead. It keeps you wanting to learn, which are all important things. But that is, in a sense, part of the development as well. So I think there should be a combination of both.
Yeah, definitely. Um, yeah, I love competition. I love competition. If I'm playing the game and it's too easy, it's not fun for me. It's not fun for me. I want to compete more than anything else. So if the competition is there and it's fun and you beat me, I remember one time my cousin. He was an opposing team. We're playing in the same league, but opposing team. And this is my next door cousin. Grew up like brothers, and he beat me four times in 1 year. And man, I tell you, it hurts. But the one time, the next year that I beat him, I make sure, make sure that let him know, hey, I got one on you. And like some of my best games, even played as a professional, is knowing the other guy, knowing guys on the opposing team, that I'm friends with. I know, like, hey, we're gonna play. I even like joke around with referees, like, hey, if you see us going at it, leave us alone. Leave us alone. We're just we just competed. You know, and the competition of it, as I love it. I love the competition. And on the side, as you say, I see, and I've asked coaches, you see kids that one kid that big and fast, as we were younger, and you just as coaches that want to win and hey, feed that guy the ball, feed him the ball, feed him the ball, and probably just run away with it. I see a lot of times where there are kids that we get into like the 17 to 18s, and those guys are like, what happened to them? Like they didn't develop as players. They didn't learn the hard way, or have to fight for it, or do the extra work to get better. And a lot of those kids, I feel like, don't develop as good people, or good soccer players, or good all round players, just because it was so easy for them growing up. You know, so no, like the best moments are just the challenges. We used to play like older players versus younger players, as when I was in Colorado, and those are some of the most funnest games I've played. On a team. They were just so fun, and the banter in between, and like, oh, champagne football, and what a goal, and and to know that that game is coming, for me, that competition was like so much fun, but so hard, but so much fun that made me better every single time. And I always felt like there a couple of things that made you better is like the competition that you're facing, is going to make you better. The coaching that you get and what you do for yourself is going to make you better. So, yeah, the competition for me is what helps the most.
That's fair, and I think it's hard to draw the line, but I agree with Corben as well, because like having that balance where we are having fun, but we also trying to win the game. It's very important. I finished my Ironman, and I remember when I was running, I was like, this is the hardest thing I ever did in my life, because it was so hard. Like I just had no energy anymore. But when I crossed the finish line, and I told Michaela, my wife, and I was like, I just want to do it again. You know what I mean? Because it was fun. It was hard. It was competitive. It was hard, but it was fun as well. So finding that balance, I feel like it's very important, and especially with kids, because we want them to develop, but we also want them to keep playing, right? Because, well, then they turn 14, they go to high school, and they don't want to play anymore because just they don't care as much. So yeah, I love both of the takes on that one. My last question for you guys is, if you had one chance to tell something to the entire world, let's say we're gonna have a, I don't know, something on a highway that everyone in the world is gonna see that. Um, what's gonna say on that? It's a phrase, a quote, whatever you guys want to say. What would you tell the world? And that can be soccer wise, can be anything you guys want it to be.
I think there's a couple different phrases that I love that you could put up there, but I think for this one I'd probably write "turn the page," and so I wrote this thing a little bit about kind of what that means to me, and what that means is essentially anything that happens, whether it's good, bad, um, you always have to try and turn the page. Because if you stay on it and you stay stuck on winning, or you stay stuck on this one thing that happened that was good or bad, you're gonna get pulled away from the present moment and that kind of thing. So there's another thing that I heard that I love is and it's kind of religious, but it's called like "this too shall pass." Where, and I heard someone talk about it and I loved it, where it's like, if you feel like the best player on the planet, if you feel like you're untouchable, if you feel like you're so smart, this too shall pass, because there will be a moment where you don't feel that way,
Mhm.
and you got to keep it moving. Same if you feel like the worst player on the field, or if you feel like the worst person on the planet, or if you feel like you're not smart enough. This too shall pass. This will be, there will be another moment in your life that you maybe feel the opposite. And I love that saying, because I think from moment to moment it'll change, and kind of what we discussed this whole time about mentality and adversity and perseverance and these things. If you just can learn from that moment and move to the next one with the knowledge that gained, you'll be in a good position to take on whatever's going on. So, yeah, I guess mine would probably be "turn the page." Just keep turning the pages. Keep going, man. Use the lessons in the book that you've written so far and keep turning the pages.
Well, guys, thank you so much for taking the time. I loved all the insights. I really appreciate that.
Of course. It was fun. Thanks for having us.